Marinette Dupain-Cheng. What happens when courage in the face of doubt meets good fortune? What happens when nobody else rises to the task and so you're stuck doing the good guy's deed? Ever wondered why each Miraculous Ladybug character has been given the jewel they have? Why Nino is the turtle miraculous holder? And why Luca is the snake wielder, for example? Me too. Because let's be honest, the show doesn't really explain this to the best of its ability. Last video essay, we delved deep, and I mean deep, into Adrien and Marinette's character and why he was chosen to wield the Black Cat Miraculous, which I had so much fun doing. In this video essay, brought to you by the one and only your girl, the cartoon hotspot, we're going to be analysing and breaking down all the layers to our girl, our very own superheroine Ladybug, alias Marinette Dupain-Cheng.
She's got a point, she's an icon, she's a legend, and she is the moment. Now come on now.
In this video, I'll be discussing all the qualities and flaws that make Marinette such an excellent ladybug and a relatable protagonist. While you may believe that Adrien would make a much more interesting protagonist simply because he's more complex, I'd like to point out, at least in my opinion, that part of the reason we're all watching this show in the first place is because Marinette is such a strange and compelling character, one way or another. She doesn't have to have a dark and twisted backstory in order to be endearing. Love her or hate her, Marinette is just that girl, and you cannot deny that she does bring some flavour to the show. So sit back, relax, and if you're new to my channel, be sure to subscribe and turn on that bell button so you receive a notification whenever I upload. Without further ado, let's begin. Similar to my video essay on Adrien's character breakdown, we'll start by discussing who Marinette is, her background, her personality traits, and the issues surrounding her writing. And at any point during this video, I could read out some of your takes and opinions. Marinette Dupain-Cheng is a 14-year-old aspiring fashion designer of Chinese and French descent. Her mother, Sabine, is Chinese, and her father is French. She comes from a loving family, which is a direct contrast to Adrien's home life, and her parents happen to own the best bakery in Paris. On that note, it honestly bugs me, and I know I'm not the first person to point this out, but I hate how the show tries to make it seem like Marinette is poor. Her parents are the best bakers in Paris. They're chasing the bag, so Marinette is pretty well off and comfortable. Sure, probably not as rich as Adrien and Chloe, but she's definitely not a pauper. Anyways, Marinette attends Francois Dupont High School, and it was revealed prior to the Origins episode that she did not have many close friends and was actually bullied by Chloe for 4 years, causing her to suffer from low self-esteem, which can be self-destructive. But we'll get into that in much more detail later on. Marinette, as previously stated, is an aspiring fashion designer. She's extremely talented and has a creative outlook on almost everything, so much so that she ended up designing jagged stone sunglasses, winning the derby hat competition, and being given the opportunity to pursue fashion in New York by Audrey Bourgeois. She also serves as class representative. Now let's get into her character in more detail. Marinette is a sweet and kind girl who you'd want to be friends with because she's so caring. She isn't afraid to stand up for what she believes in, lend a helping hand to a friend, and put her own wants and needs aside for the sake of others. She's also incredibly relatable, having dealt with typical adolescent issues like having a crush on someone, balancing your life as a student with your extracurricular activities, which in Marinette's case would entail living a double life and saving Paris under the superhero persona Ladybug. As Marinette, she's clumsy, frequently gets her words mixed up, and lacks confidence in herself. But as Ladybug, she's the complete opposite. Or is she? As the series progressed, you notice Marinette as a civilian exhibits many of Ladybug's characteristics, as opposed to Adrien, who is arguably a completely different person than Cat Noir. If I were in the Miraculous universe, forget the whole quantum masking nonsense that they only just thought the New York special was the perfect time to conveniently mention. If someone told me Marinette was Ladybug, I'd easily believe it and say, yeah, I can see that, they're quite similar. As opposed to telling me Adrien is Cat Noir, which would elicit the response, are you sure? Again, my next video essay will go in greater depth about how Adrien and Marinette mirror each other. Anyways, as Ladybug, at least in seasons 1 and 2, Ladybug is much more confident, easily formulates her words, is a complete badass, the superhero everyone loves and respects and who you do not want to mess with. Ladybug is analytical, resourceful, and a fantastic problem solver, all of which stems from the fact that Marinette is concealed behind the mask. Can you see where I'm going with this? There is no Ladybug without Marinette. Ladybug is special because she's Marinette, not the other way around. And deep down, Marinette doesn't give herself as much credit as she should, which emanates from the fact that she has low self-esteem, most likely as a result from being bullied for so long, in which nobody in the class thought to come to her defense. What is up with that, by the way? I know Chloe can be scary and intimidating with her dad being the mayor and all, but there's strength in numbers. You're telling me not even Alex or the rest of the class could have at least backed her up? You're telling me a new girl, Alia, was the first person to ever stand up for Marinette against Chloe? A new girl. I mentioned being bullied by Chloe because I believe it contributed to some of Marinette's flaws. Being bullied as a child has different effects on different people. Most commonly, kids who have been bullied suffer from low self-esteem and see a decrease in their social and communication skills, which explains why Marinette has such a difficult time talking to Adrien, or many people in general, but especially Adrien. Yes, she has a major crush on him, that plays a huge part, but I also believe that being a victim of bullying is a contributing factor. It's why she always calls herself lame when she fails to ask Adrien out or get a normal sentence out of her mouth to him. She's always quick to beat herself up when she fails to do something, and especially in season 1, she'd compare herself to Chloe. Being bullied has you wondering, what about me is undesirable? Why don't people like me? And we see this multiple times in the show. Marinette is always questioning her worth, doubting herself, and quickly puts herself down before she gets the chance to shine. Take Style Queen. Audrey literally did not utter a word to Marinette. She simply just looked at the derby hat, but Marinette began overthinking and told Adrien that Audrey hated it. See my point?
What? No, it's not. Why would you say that?
Because the Queen of Fashion, Audrey Bourgeois, saw it and hated it. I'm sorry, Adrien, I really messed up. I'm a total no talent.
And to be honest, I believe this is a character flaw. One of her most consistent flaws, that is. It's also self-destructive, but being Ladybug greatly benefits her. Marinette would never have grown in confidence if Master Fu hadn't chosen her to be Ladybug, or if she hadn't have passed the test, because every day as Ladybug, she discovers new things about herself. Having said that, Marinette does have some other flaws. Marinette is quite creepy, and I have to blame the writers for this. I understand where people are coming from when they say Marinette's life revolves around Adrien, or Marinette is obsessed with Adrien. Invading your crush's house, stealing his phone from his locker, having a schedule on your calendar is very concerning, to say the least. I want better for her, because this ain't it. That is not how you write a 14-year-old girl, or at least I should hope not. However, I must disagree with the assertion that her entire personality is defined by her love for Adrien. Look, we've all been 14 at some point. Let's cut this girl a bit of slack. I feel like because Adrien is Marinette's first love or major crush, it's going to be pretty intense. All the emotions she's experiencing for the first time is overwhelming, but Adrien isn't her entire personality trait. Clearly, Marinette has other things going on for her, like her love for fashion, her creativity, her kind-hearted nature, and honestly, this might be a hot take, but I'm gonna say it anyways. If you think Adrien is Marinette's entire personality, then you can easily say the same thing about Cat Noir and his love for Ladybug. Let's be real. They were both pretty obsessed with each other. Marinette is quick-tempered, impulsive, and easily gets riled up sometimes, particularly when she sees her friend getting picked on or when someone lies to her. But her biggest flaw, which I've mentioned numerous times in previous videos, is avoiding necessary conversations. She hates confrontation and would go to any length to avoid it. She'd always try to find a way out, even if it's one of the most convoluted, overcomplicated, and downright insane plans. And deep down, she knows half of them are bound to flop.
What am I doing, honestly? The truth is, I'm scared that Adrien will reject me if I tell him how I feel about him. That's why I overcomplicate everything.
Let me explain. Overcomplication equals avoiding the problem right now and buying yourself some extra time. She is delaying what needs to be done because at least it's better luck next time, and in that way she can prepare for the next time she feels ready. What are some examples of this? The entire plot of Gigantitan proves my point, and the sad part is that I don't think she does this on purpose. It's a defense mechanism to keep her from being rejected because she's afraid of rejection. The problem with that is the longer you procrastinate and put things off, the less likely you are to do what you need to do. This is why, as time has passed, Marinette has found it increasingly difficult to simply tell Adrien how she feels about him. There's one more thing I'd like to mention, and it's a bit controversial, but I believe it's relevant when discussing Marinette's character. Is Marinette a Mary Sue? Well, what is a Mary Sue? A Mary Sue, as defined by Google, is a character who unrealistically lacks flaws, never faces consequences for her actions, is loved by everyone but despised by the mean girls, and every other character is dumbed down or made to look worse, just so she can shine. A Mary Sue is usually clumsy as well. And in some cases, this is correct. But Marinette is not a Mary Sue, and I stand by this. Not because she is my favourite character, but because there are some counter arguments to all of the reasons why Marinette might be a Mary Sue. Sure, she was definitely heading down that route from seasons 1 to 3. 100%, I agree with that. First and primarily, Marinette does not lack flaws. She's great at a lot of things, but as I've already mentioned in this video, she has a lot of flaws. Even so, there are arguments that she's unrealistically talented and good at everything. But keep in mind that many of the kids in the shows are extremely talented and successful, and part of the reason Marinette gets so much heat for being quote-unquote too talented is because she is the main character. The story revolves around her, so naturally a lot of the other characters' talents are going to be overshadowed by Marinette because we're following her journey. But hey, Adrien is a famous model, a straight A student, extremely intelligent, a fencer and an excellent pianist. Nino is a DJ. Julika, Rose and Ivan are all members of Luca's band. Alia runs a successful blog that has scored many interviews. Nathaniel and Mark have a comic book. And Kagami is a world-class fencer who has won numerous competitions around the globe. It's just that Marinette gets a lot of screen time because, surprise surprise, she's the main character. So I don't blame the audience for forgetting other characters do have things going on for them, but I do think it's a little harsh to say Marinette doesn't have any flaws. On the other hand, one way I would change this is to make her struggle in certain areas and give other characters a chance to shine. Also, when it comes to fighting akumatized villains, perhaps try to make them a little more difficult, because come on, some of them are dead easy. It would be interesting to see Ladybug struggle and rely on others to help her. It would make her character more authentic and relatable in the sense that yes, you are Ladybug, you are the fixer, but it is okay to rely on others when your skills and talents fall short in a specific circumstance. Oh, and in regards to Marinette just so happening to be able to merge many Miraculouses together in Kwame Buster, I'm just going to go ahead and say that does not make her a Mary Sue, because if you critically analyze her character, you'd find that it makes sense that she was able to achieve such a thing that no miraculous holder in history has ever been able to do. I'll actually bring this up later on in the video. Another common argument I hear is that Marinette rarely faces consequences for her actions, and whilst I partially agree, 99% of the time people are always referring to her stalking Adrien when they say she faces no consequences, which narrows her character down to just being obsessed with Adrien. But there are times when Marinette makes terrible mistakes that she immediately regrets and must correct. For example, in Anime Maestro, Ikari Gozen, Volpina and Cat Blanc, her biggest mistake yet. She acted rashly, made dubious decisions, and judged Kagami too quickly, resulting in akumatizations. Volpina was completely understandable, but you get the point. Even then, Marinette has tried to give Lila the benefit of the doubt. Marinette is now friends with Kagami despite their rocky start to their friendship. I could go on and on defending Marinette, but most of these counter arguments are taken from Sugar Cube Tiki on Tumblr. You should definitely go check out her Tumblr account, she posts some amazing takes, so I strongly recommend following her. A link will be left in the description box below. Overall, season 4 is giving Marinette a lot of depth, fleshing out her flaws and adding another dimension to her character, which contradicts the notion that she is a Mary Sue. For example, it has been made abundantly clear that Marinette does not perform well mentally when isolated and alone. We're seeing a more realistic side to her that we should have seen by season 2. But hey, better late than never. We're seeing a girl struggle with her superhero duties, which is affecting her mental well-being. We're seeing how vulnerable she is in comparison to this seemingly perfect girl in season 1 who always knows what to do and how to deal with a problem. So now that we've unraveled Marinette's character, let's look at why she's the perfect Ladybug wielder. We'll start with the symbolism of the colour red and what ladybugs mean, and then we'll go over Marinette's test and how she passed it, making her arguably the most powerful holder in history. Red is associated with love, passion, strength, leadership, courage, willpower, radiance, and determination, all qualities Ladybug possesses both as Marinette and Ladybug. But let's focus on 3 words: leadership, courage, and willpower. Ladybug is a team leader. She didn't choose to be, but whether or not she knows this, her natural born qualities make her a great leader, which is why Master Fu picked her in the first place. I also believe there was a reason behind Fu not really being present in season 1, leaving Ladybug and Cat Noir on their own to figure things out. Fu required heroes trusted to handle the two most powerful Miraculous without any guidance yet. He needed to know how worthy they were of protecting Paris, because being a superhero isn't about the attention and fame that comes with being so brave. It's about stepping up to the challenge no matter what, putting other people's desires ahead of your own. We've already discussed Adrien's selflessness, but Marinette is just as selfless. There are some things she's had to give up in order to keep protecting Paris, and there are some morals she holds dear to herself that she ends up breaking. For example, she hates lying. But the irony is that it's exactly what she must do in order to remain Ladybug. A hero is nothing without selflessness and compassion, and it is these qualities that give them their strength. And what do ladybugs represent? Ladybugs are a symbol of good luck, and their symbolism revolves around positivity and happiness. Seeing a ladybug is thus often considered a good omen, which isn't a coincidence given that Ladybug has the literal power of good luck on her side, even though it can be argued that Marinette is quite unlucky. When a ladybug appears, it indicates that a positive change is on its way, brightening the day and disrupting a gloomy mood. And this is what Ladybug means to Cat Noir, who is Adrien. Cat Noir, aside from being a superhero, gets to fight alongside an incredible girl behind the mask, and he admits that the times he has the most fun are with Ladybug. But ladybugs have a meaning beyond good luck. They could mean true love, changes, but what I'm really going to go in detail, and credits to spiritanimal.info, is this. Ladybugs also mean a happy resolution to a hassle, the miraculous at play in everyday life, the importance of staying alert to avoid pitfalls, and the need to know yourself well to make the right life choices. Alina Shakura did a great job and explained this so well. She said, in terms of animal symbolism, there are sayings that definitely connects Marinette. A happy resolution to hassle. Marinette ends up getting through the trouble she's going through and comes out with her own victories. The miraculous at play in everyday life. Marinette is shown to be optimistic even as struggles come to play such as Chloe, her clumsiness and her anxieties. The importance of staying alert to avoid pitfalls. It's both Marinette's strength and weakness. On one hand, she's observant and pays close attention, like as Ladybug she figures out how to use her lucky charm, and in the episode Optigami where she paid attention to a seemingly unimportant handshake between Nino and Alia. On the other hand, Marinette's staying alert can often control her, and sometimes control limits you, like her anxieties in confessing to Adrien. And finally, the importance of knowing yourself well to make the right life choices, which I think is Marinette's entire arc in a nutshell. The decisions Marinette makes all stem from how well she knows herself, both in and out of the costume, which is why we see her exhibiting some of her ladybug traits in her civilian form, and vice versa. Elena is sort of arguing the opposite to what I just said, but her take is just as valid and accurate. She said Marinette tends to look down on herself, and right now she's not making the best decisions. She's following the hero rule with Cat Noir, but breaking them with others behind his back. She needs to learn to think with both her mind and heart. I completely agree with Alina because Ladybug did say a good hero thinks with her mind, but what's interesting is how as Marinette she makes decisions from the heart, whereas Ladybug, her decisions are mind driven, which opposes Cat Noir. Another way they mirror each other. Now that we've discussed the symbolism of the colour red and ladybugs, we can evaluate Marinette's test and why Ladybug chose her. Marinette's test in the Origins episode goes beyond simply saving an elderly man from being run over by a car. Like Adrien's tests, each of their tests contains an element pertaining to their character arc. Adrien had to forego his long-term pursuit, but by being selfless he gained greater freedom than he could have ever imagined if he had just chosen to ignore Master Fu. Marinette's test, on the other hand, was not about being selfless, but about finding courage when all hope had been lost. Marinette's test was to remain uplifting and inspirational to Paris, even when she had her own doubts. Imagine being 14 and suddenly being tasked with the responsibility of protecting not only your city, but also the most powerful jewel capable of shaping and altering reality. It's no surprise that Marinette failed to capture the Akuma in Stoneheart. Marinette, as previously stated, did not choose to be Ladybug. She referred to herself as madly clumsy, and made a mistake on her first job by failing to capture the Akuma, which led to her losing confidence in herself and renouncing Tiki. in contrast to Adrien, who was eager to take on the role of being the Black Cat wielder and appeared to have been a superhero his entire life. But eventually, she accepted her role and continued to fight the good fight, because no one else is capable of doing the job as well as she does, even going as far as to challenge Hawkmoth back, leaving everyone stunned, and thus, Ladybug was born. At such a tense and frightening moment, she made a promise to the people of Paris and made it clear to Hawkmoth that she will stop at nothing until his Miraculous is in her hands. But what triggered that? Ladybug was doubting herself 2 minutes ago, and it wasn't until Cat Noir encouraged her that she realized why she's Ladybug. When Hawkmoth accused Ladybug and Cat Noir of causing harm by refusing to hand over their Miraculous, Ladybug realized that it's up to her and her alone to protect these people she cares about. Without you, none of these innocent victims would be transformed into villains, she says. No matter how long it takes, we will find you. That's where her selflessness shines through. No matter how long it takes to stop Hawkmoth, she will not rest because she cares so deeply about the people of Paris that she will put her own life and ambitions on hold. She set aside her worries and doubts. She could have fled, but she was selfless in the sense that she threw Hawkmoth's threat back in his face and accepted her duty as a hero, protecting others before herself. She had no idea how bumpy the ride was going to be. It's frightening to not know what the future holds for you, but Ladybug chooses to do the right thing every day, making mistakes and learning from them as she grows into the most powerful holder in history. Ladybug's bravery is what always has her coming out on top. Her willpower is what gives her the upper hand over her adversaries, and for this reason, Fu was certain she'd make an excellent Ladybug, and later, Guardian of the Miraculous. Actually, Fu wasn't looking for a fearless person. That's the important part. He was looking for someone who has fears, but it's how you face your fears that makes a hero. In other words, Marinette. The Ladybug Miraculous demands someone who has a creative outlook on life, which speaks Marinette. With her lucky charm, she can devise the most insane schemes. Kwame Buster and Backwater were easily her most genius. Since I mentioned Kwame Buster, I've noticed Marinette getting a lot of heat for being the first person to ever use that many Miraculouses without suffering serious impacts to her physical and mental health. But to be completely honest, it's a great fit for her character in my opinion. Marinette is meticulous in her attention to detail and takes her role as Ladybug seriously. Despite never having used the Mouse Miraculous before, she was able to do it just fine, as if she had been familiar with its powers, as if it was second nature to her. She was able to pull off such a mastermind and complicated plan due to her understanding of how each Miraculous works. This isn't to say Ladybug should use all of the Miraculous. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. She was successful in pulling off that gambit in Kwame Buster because it stems from her being team leader, and as team leader she has knowledge of all the powers that each Miraculous grants. Even with her limited knowledge, she understands how each power works, which solidified Fu's decision to appoint her as the next Guardian. What's interesting is that Su Han reveals that Guardians aren't usually Miraculous holders, but for the first time in history, Ladybug is both the holder of the Ladybug earrings and the Guardian of the Miracle Box.
Precept 133, a Guardian cannot under any circumstances wear a Miraculous.
As usual, let's see what some of you think. Remember earlier I mentioned an interesting aspect of Marinette. The fact that she embodies good luck as Ladybug, but in her civilian form she's quite unlucky. I mean, there's a reason why she literally trips over a black cat in the intro. Well, Elise Brown commented, Miraculous holders externally juxtapose their given Miraculous. This means that the way they are presented in front of others is completely different to what their Miraculous represents, yet internally they represent their Miraculous. For example, Rose is shown to have an illness, but internally she has a bubbly personality. Also, Adrien is depicted to have luck and fortune since he's rich and famous, which opposes his Miraculous because internally he doesn't know who he is. Plus his home life is terrible with his dad being emotionally abusive. Now onto the main attraction, Miss Marinette. Everywhere she goes, she unintentionally and intentionally causes chaos by tripping over things and being extremely clumsy all in her day-to-day life. Very much like the Black Cat Miraculous, which is referenced to be the antithesis of the Ladybug Miraculous, that represents creation and good luck, which is Marinette internally. She has been lucky to have been given these great opportunities, such as designing the album cover for Jagged Stone. Also, she's extremely creative and a great problem solver. With all of these in mind, Marinette was given the Miraculous to help change for the better, by by bringing out her best and true self. Bella Allegra said, "If you notice throughout this series, Marinette rarely gives up. She's an incredibly practical thinker who is resourceful and solution-driven. Some of her weaknesses are her tendency to dramatize, hyperfixate, and scheme, which can be portrayed as a little bit manipulative. These weaknesses are built into her character strength as Ladybug. As a result of dramatizing small events, she is able to rationalize larger ones, letting her maintain a calm and practical means. Her scheming allows her to find complex solutions that other characters cannot anticipate, making her a valuable asset. Her strategic thinking is what continuously assists in making her a strong, commanding team leader, and her selflessness and determination means Ladybug doesn't settle for loss." And finally, in a long comment, but I just had to include this one because it was amazing, Anushka Swag said, "I think Marinette being chosen as Ladybug was very smart by Master Fu. Having possession of the Ladybug Miraculous is obviously a great responsibility that not many people can handle. If we go back to the scene where Marinette saves Master Fu from being hit by a car, she subsequently trips over and spills the macaroon she was carrying. This shows Master Fu that she is clumsy but good-hearted. Afterwards he says, 'Oh, what a disaster,' to which Marinette replies by saying, 'Don't worry, I'm no stranger to disasters. Besides, there are still a few left.' If this sentence is broken down into two parts, they are,
Don't worry, I'm no stranger to disaster.
Which shows Master Fu that she could be good in high-stress situations, as they tend to happen to her a lot. Another indicator of this is how she didn't hesitate to help Master Fu when she saw a fast car approaching. This can also be said for Adrien when he made the quick decision between his personal gain and helping someone else. The fact that she is clumsy also shows Master Fu that she might be in awkward situations quite often, and is desensitized to them at this point, which is a quality any superhero needs to learn, and having this quality already, in the case of Marinette, shows that Marinette is capable of possessing the Ladybug Miraculous. The second part of the sentence is,
Besides, there are still a few left.
This shows that Marinette is optimistic and looks for positives even when it seems as though there are none. This is a major quality of the Ladybug Miraculous, and something the holder should have as well, even in the worst of situations. Yes, it's true that Marinette can be extremely clumsy, and even a bit impulsive at times, but if we see how Marinette behaves in Season 1 to how she behaves now, especially around Adrien, it shows her character development and all the positives that the Ladybug Miraculous has brought into her life. Even before picking Marinette to be the holder of the Ladybug Miraculous, Master Fu knew he would never find the perfect holder. And he quite simply wasn't looking to find the perfect holder. Instead, he was looking to find someone who wanted to and had the capability to learn. Marinette's flaws didn't affect his decisions because he knew she would improve on them, because she had the capability to learn. All I want to say now is that damn, Master Fu was observant. And oh my god, you guys are some of the most intelligent people I've ever come across, and I absolutely loved reading every single one of your opinions, which I completely agree with. Marinette may not realize it, but no one else is cut out to be Ladybug, because her unique characteristics make her such an excellent Ladybug wielder. There's a reason why Tiki always says Marinette is the best holder she's ever had. Okay, shout outs for this week. Last video essay, I asked you guys to comment down why you think Marinette is Ladybug, and of course I wasn't able to read all of them out, so here are the shout outs for some of them that I couldn't read out. Shout outs to Alpine Master, Make Way, Antra Mizumda, Orchid Banana, and Atradeep Sawney. And special shout outs to Digital Art for their gorgeous fan art of Ladynoir, my favourite ship. And special shout out to Kayla from Dream Arts for the amazing artwork of me. The amount of talent you guys have is incredible, and this goes for anyone else who'd like to send me their artwork for me to shout out in my next video. Which, speaking of which, if you want to shout out in my next video essay of this series, then all you have to do is comment down all the ways Adrien and Marinette mirror each other. Yep, my next video, as promised, will be talking about the yin and yang complex of Miraculous, going in depth to how Adrienette parallel each other directly, and why it's such a core aspect that makes the show so compelling to watch. So get commenting, and I can't wait to see all of your takes. Ladybug achieves things not only because she's intelligent, but because she's willing to manipulate sticky situations in her own creative way, allowing her to always win. Marinette is incredibly flawed, and a little hard to comprehend. Of course she's less complex than Adrien, but she's still complex in her own special way, and that's what I love most about her and why I relate to her character the most, even though I don't usually tend to care about the main character. I usually end up standing a side character, but Marinette is an exception because of how inspiring and relatable she is. Miraculous simply wouldn't be the series it is today without her. She's what makes it so special. Her journey, yes, it's been a little strange and there are some aspects to her writing that can be improved. But all in all, Marinette is a good protagonist, a great one, dare I say. I love Marinette Dupain-Cheng, but you knew that already. If you guys enjoyed this video, please feel free to like, comment, and for new viewers coming across my channel for the first time, why not hit that subscribe button and become a hotspotter? I also want to say a huge thank you for 12k subscribers. You guys are incredible, so I couldn't be more grateful for your support. As for today, that's it from me, and I'll see you again next time. And always remember, a mask is nothing without a hero.